The human body, at peace with itself, is more precious than the rarest gem. Cherish your body. It is yours this time only. The human form is one with difficulty. It is easy to lose. All worldly things are brief, like lightning in the sky. This life you must know as the tiny splash of a raindrop, a thing of beauty that disappears even as it comes into being. Therefore, set your goal. Make use of every day and night to achieve it. So when I was asked to give a talk on this event and saw the theme of this year, extinction or evolution, my immediate response was yes. And then I thought, but I know nothing about all this climate facts and figures and what's going on in the world. And then realised actually my talk needed to still be the same as I do in my daily practice, which is a sense of coming back again and again into the body. Because it's only by being in the body that we can truly know what we think, feel, believe, know, understand, and can truly open to love. So that was my sort of premise for saying yes in a way. So for me, the path of embodiment is a path of ease, relaxation, and opening. It's important to keep connecting with our breathing bodies. We do so much thinking on a daily basis. We're encouraged to think. Our education system sets us up to sit at desks quite still, do sports every now and then, but sit at desks quite still and think with our minds. But actually, the Buddha was always teaching that we're thinking with the whole body, and particularly with the heart-mind, chitta, heart-mind connection, which is actually a whole body connection because the heart's connected to the guts are connected to everything. By connecting daily with the breathing body, we start breathing with the whole universe. And we can't help but engage and open and respond and wake up and become free. But it has to be done in the context of the Buddha's Dharma, in my view, because, before I came across the Dharma, so we're talking about I came across Triratna in 2007, but before that I was working as a teacher in a sixth form college, and I was doing a load of stuff in the body. I would cycle to work 3 miles each way. I loved cycling, I loved walking, I went to dance classes. Me and my housemates started going to this Tai Chi class. We had no idea what it was, but we started going to this Tai Chi class in 2000, and I was approaching all of those with the same me, the me that didn't have a clue what life was about, the me that just kind of went along with it, the me that was just kind of, well, you get a job, you buy a house, you try and get a husband if you want one, you have children if you want them, but you just keep doing, and you're earning money and you're doing this, and you kind of do these hobbies in the evening to help you relax. I did a whole year of Tai Chi, and luckily I'd come across a Tai Chi, I didn't know this at the time, I was lucky, but luckily I'd come across a Tai Chi teacher, it's really hard to say, even though I am one, Tai Chi teacher, who was teaching from a place of mindfulness and metta, so mindfulness and loving kindness. So although he showed us the martial applications, that wasn't his main purpose for the teaching. And I did a whole year learning the short form, and then I thought, right, tick, done that with my usual head, tick, done Tai Chi, right, what next? And he phoned me up about 3 weeks into the next year's course and just said, are you coming back? And I said, oh no, well, you know, I kind of feel like I've done the short form. And he said, why don't you just come back for a couple of weeks? We're just going to deepen it. We're just going to go deeper in what we've learnt together. So I went back probably in October, and I kind of got a sense of it. Oh yeah, we're learning a bit more, but I was just still doing it. And then the following February, my mum died really, really suddenly. My mum and my stepdad were watching a film together. she got up to go to the loo and had a pulmonary embolism and just died on the spot. So it was a sudden shock. I was at work, got the phone call, and in a way that was my kind of dukkha moment, my severe dukkha moment. Otherwise I would have carried on living in that way. Tick, done this, tick, done that, do dance, do singing, do this, do that, do the other, but nothing was ever grounded. And from that moment on, my approach to life, but particularly in the Tai Chi classes, was very, very different. I started to understand what he was trying to say about being rather than doing, loving rather than criticizing, breathing rather than just thinking about what you're going to do next. And one of the particular moves that really struck me from that moment onwards, it wasn't even part of the form, it was actually just a practice move. I'm just going to stand up and show you again. So what I'd been doing in my life was, there's loads of circles in Tai Chi. What I've been doing, I'll show you both sides. What I've been doing in my life is, as I was moving forwards, I'm moving this way. So I'm coming up, out, and like almost like vomiting forwards. And you see this, you see people walking sort of over like this, rushing forwards, rushing this way and that. And it's this kind of circular movement. It's coming from the ground, pushing us up and pushing us forward. So my greatest fear when in those Tai Chi classes was that if he made me sit still, which he tried to do sometimes. He tried to make us sit still at the start and do a little bit of meditation. Hated it. If you make me sit still, I'm just going to fall asleep or die. Something's going to happen because I've got to keep moving forwards. I don't understand what life is about, but I've got to keep moving forwards. And then what he did with us is we were still allowed to move forwards. We were still allowed to walk, but we just had to change the direction of that circle. So it came in through the heart and down into the ground. And if you walk with that sense, you end up feeling the whole of the back of the body, and actually you I start being in the body. And it's a completely different sensation of being in the world. So often I do that as Tai Chi walking, just to show this stressful moving forwards circuit. It's kind of like a vomiting up, rather than a just enjoying and bringing in and grounding and grounding. That's the only word for it. So I'm so grateful to those classes, because if I hadn't gone, my life would have been meaningless for me. At the point when my mum died and people were sort of asking, if you don't have a religion, you don't have a faith, you don't have anything there, it just suddenly feels meaningless. So I was very, very grateful to Alan, my Tai Chi teacher, and then what we then went through as a class together in the coming years following that time. So why is this so important at the moment? I just wanted to say, I wanted to put it into the context of the Buddha's teaching, because this is not new. But I think, 2,500 years ago, people probably were much more embodied than we are now. I think Jayaraja was saying yesterday about the effect of the Industrial Revolution. And I think one of the big effects of the Industrial Revolution has been that we've come out of our bodies, we've come out of our connection with the earth, we've come out of connection with each other in some ways, and we've created much more comfort and those kind of things, but it just means we don't like so much being in our bodies. So the Buddha was always teaching this. The main teachings that I sort of work with are his Satipatthana teachings, which are teachings on body, sensations, thoughts and feelings, and all in the context of dharmas, all in context of the truth. The Metta and Brahma Vihara teachings, again, they're not thinking. We're not meant to be thinking about a person, thinking about whether we like them, thinking about opening our heart. Ideally, we would be in our bodies, noticing the constriction as we bring to mind somebody we find difficult, noticing the love as we bring to mind somebody we like. It's quite complicated with a good friend, because often there's a bit of a, yes, they're okay sometimes, or I've just had this slight thing today with them. So, just noticing. And if you can actually really feel what's in your heart, then we can just be much more responsive in the Metta Bhavana. And that's how the Buddha was teaching it. He wasn't teaching it like up here. And all of the teachings, of course, have to be in the context of insight. It's no point in just doing the metta bhavana or the mindfulness of breathing if we're just doing it in the body. So when I'm saying embodiment, it is in the context of insight. It's in the context of looking at the impermanence of the body and the breath, looking at the insubstantiality of this whole being and this whole universe, and looking at the unsatisfactoriness and the joy that exists in those situations as well. So I've got a quote from Donna Farsi from her Yoga, Mind, Body and Spirit book, which is quite a, it's quite a popular book if you're a yogi. And she puts it in really good words, what I'm just trying to say. So I might as well read her. We live in a time of extreme dissociation from bodily experience. When we are not in our bodies, we are dissociated from our instincts, feelings and insights. And it becomes possible to dissociate ourselves from other people's feelings and other people's suffering. The insidious ways in which we become numb to our bodily experience and the feelings and perceptions that arise from them leave us powerless to know who we are, what we believe in, and what kind of world we wish to create. If we do not know when we are breathing in and when we are breathing out, when we are unable to perceive gross levels of tension, how then can we possibly know how to create a balanced world? Every violent impulse begins in a body filled with tension. Every failure to reach out to someone in need begins in a body that has forgotten how to feel. In reattaching ourselves to our bodies, we reattach ourselves to the responsibility of living a life guided by the undeniable wisdom of our body. So why is this so important, apart from what we've just said, what she's just said? Yesterday, Jai Raja was mentioning trauma, and trauma is held in the body. All kinds of traumas are held in the body. But one of the biggest traumas that every single one of us has had is being born. So that moment of separation from the mother, whatever happens following that, can create trauma, will create trauma in the body. It can create an existential sense of separation from the world. I mean, ideally then you have a mother that reconnects with you, but so many people will have at that moment, there may have been a death, or it may have been postnatal depression, or then you may have been in an incubator, there will be, or mental health problems. Whatever happens from that point onwards will have had an effect as well. It's very, very few people that have that skin-on-skin loving contact with mother for the coming 6 months. So Paramananda just said on the last retreat I went on, it was lovely, he just said, well, we've just been chucked into the world, so you might as well just stand in it and be in it, rather than feeling apologetic or worrying about it or feeling separate from it. We've all been born in the same way. We've all been separated from mother. We've all been chucked into the world. Just get on with it. However, it is traumatic. So that trauma, followed by all kinds of other things that happen, little things, big things, whatever it is, create pain, create wounds in the body that we start feeling. And to start shutting off from that pain, that's how we stop feeling. That's how we're starting to become dissociated from our bodies. That's why it's so important to come back on a daily basis. Because what we're doing when we're shutting off from the pain is we're also shutting off from the joy. You can't shut off from one without shutting off from the other. Because what we're doing is shutting off from all feeling. We're numbing ourselves to the world. So it doesn't matter what we're doing. mindfulness of breathing, metta bhavana, just sitting, yoga, tai chi, dance, mantra, walking in nature. Something on a daily basis that brings us back to life. Something that isn't in front of a screen. Something that isn't my favourite thing, watching Netflix. Something isn't doing those things is just really important. Something that allows us to soften, open up the breathing body, come into this belly, allowing it to breathe more fully. Sangha-Gita, when she's leading her singing workshops, talks about little babies before they have all the stress and the strain of life, breathe into here. So if you're watching them sleeping, their bellies are moving. Ours often don't. We're often holding it in tight. The guts are held tight against each other, tight against the world. So see if you can just spend a few minutes trying to breathe into this belly. As I'm talking, I'm trying to breathe into my belly as well. We're also trying to soften and open the heart, whatever's going on in the heart, without trying to change it, without trying to change what's happening. We're not trying to manipulate ourselves into feeling a certain way. That's what's truly metaful. Self-metta is just being with what's there. A daily practice of turning towards and really experiencing what is in the body, what is in the heart. So as we gently open to this pain, and as we gently open to the joy at the same time, as we gently open ourselves so we're no longer numb to the experience, what we start doing is creating a bigger container for all experience, ours and everybody else's. Once we can hold our own experience, then we can start really being with each other's pain and with each other's joy. And we start having that sense of equanimity. Equanimity is not a closed shutting off from the world. Oh, everything's fine. Yep, you've got pain. Yep, you've got joy and I haven't. Fine. You know, it's not like that. It's an opening out so that we can experience. Once we can experience our own, we can experience each other's. We then have an even bigger experience of joy and an even bigger experience of pain that we can hold both of those things. That container can become as vast as the universe. We can use Sangha, not use Sangha as in use them. We can, I can't think of another word, use Sangha to increase that container so that it becomes as big as the universe. We're all holding each other's pain, we're all holding each other's joy. And this is quite radical. There are not many people in the world doing this on a daily basis. There are not many people in the world feeling their feet on the ground, feeling into their breathing bodies, feeling into the vibrating, pulsating heart. It's totally radical. What we've actually got in our culture are whole industries built around stopping us doing that. I don't know if they consciously were stopping us doing that, but that's what's happened. We've got the alcohol industry stopping us doing that, numbing the pain, numbing the joy. We've got the food industry making us eat things that numb the pain, numb the joy. The entertainment industry I've just mentioned, even though, you know, there's good stuff in it as well, but you know, it depends how we use it. And even the sports industry, it depends how you're approaching sort of these kind of bodily activities. Is it to numb the pain? Is it to numb the joy? Is it to numb all the feelings? So they anaesthetize us, discourage us from feeling, and keep us feeling within parameters that are safe. So if you're watching a film, you often get taken through an emotional roller coaster or path. That's okay, but what were you actually feeling? What would have actually been going on if you weren't watching it? So the Buddha's teaching on Satipatthana, coming into the body, coming into the heart, coming into the breath, connecting with the earth, connecting with the sky, connecting with each other, opening into the metta bhavana, connecting with loving kindness, connecting to people's suffering, entering into compassion. The actual definition of compassion from the Pali Canon isn't kind of like wanting to fix or wanting to change anything. When you start really looking at compassion and feeling it, it's a vibrating with. You can only vibrate with someone else's and your own suffering if you're in the body, so the body can actually vibrate with it. So that's quite a different sensation from a thought about suffering, a thought about the other person's suffering, a thought about your own suffering. It's actually being with it and vibrating with it. So in that becoming into the body every day, we really know and explore and be with the way things really are. We're an ever-changing flow of experience in amongst an ever-changing flow of experience. We can feel the dissatisfaction, we can feel the joy, and then feel the full pain, and then feel the full joy of living a human life. Don't know if any of you have been watching, having said the entertainment industry is so bad, if any of you have been watching the Brian Cox series on planets. Some people nodding, some people not. So we've been sort of watching some of them on community nights at Tara Loka. And even I only managed to watch the first one because then I was just in a reflection phase, and it was quite strong. So the first episode just looks at the first 4 planets, the sort of rocky ones, Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars. He sort of describes the formation. It's a bit kind of like woo when it's on the screen, but it's kind of the way he talks about why there is life on Earth. You suddenly get a sense of how fragile this whole life experience has been. One slight knock, as some of the other planets had, towards or away from the sun, and none of this would be happening. It'd be too hot, too cold, the water wouldn't have been able to form, no life would have been on Earth. And I think it makes me completely ungrounded just thinking about it. I'm like, I can't think about it. But if I sort of ground into that, it just gives a sense of heart opening. We're here together on this extremely fragile Earth that at some point our sun is going to expand and burn us anyway in billions of years, don't worry. But at some point this Earth will no longer exist. So we are here just for a brief splash of a raindrop, a tiny, tiny moment of existence in the existence of the universe. So what are we going to do with that? What can we do with that? And at that moment, when I start, rather than thinking it, start feeling that into my body, it does have for me a sense of opening to the universe, opening to the world, and wanting to love more and more. So with the current climate crisis, that again, there's been a speeding up with the Industrial Revolution and how we're living and consumption and things that are going on. With that in mind, it's almost like we've kind of imagined we've been on the Titanic, which they said was unsinkable. So we've been on this Earth, which is unsinkable, unkillable, unless the sun does something. But actually we're speeding up the process. Actually, we didn't put enough lifeboats in place. So we're on the Titanic and we're going down. So we can go down in 2 ways. We can go down going, me, put me on the lifeboat. Or we can just go down with love. And I think what I'd prefer to do is go down with love. Because then at least there's love in the world as we're all dying. So that's my theory on that. I'm going to read you a part of the UN Biodiversity Report. Most of you will have read this already. But I think again it became very inspiring when Professor Sandra Diaz, who's the co-chair of the UN Biodiversity Report, wrote this. Actually, at home at Tara Loka, there was another heart-opening moment. It was like, phew, It doesn't have to just be Buddhism. Actually, there does need to be a change, and other people are recognizing that. So this is what went out. We need to change the way we think about what a good life is. We need to change the social narrative that puts an emphasis on a good life depending on a high consumption and quick disposal. We need to shift it to an idea of a fulfilling life that is more aligned with a good relationship with nature and a good relationship with other people, with the public good. We need to change the stories in our heads, because they are the ones that are now enacted in decisions all the way from the individual up to the government. Changing that is not easy, but this is what it would take to reach the better future for the children that are born this year. So changing that is not easy. Those of us that have been practicing for a while will know that. You get to places in yourself where there are grooves that are really difficult to change. So a daily embodiment practice just helps us come into connection with that and see that. So again, I'd like to invite you to join me in a little bit of movement to just see how that feels, see how it feels to come into your body. If you'd prefer to stay sitting down, you can do this sitting down. You just need to, it doesn't matter if you do touch somebody, but if you want to give yourself a bit of space, just put your arms all around you and see if there's enough space. There should be enough space for everybody. Just check. Doesn't matter if you touch someone, they won't mind. If they do, it's a metta practice. So again, just coming into connection with the earth, feeling the sensations of your feet on the ground, softening your knees, so never locking your knees, then just tilting your pelvis forward so that you're going down at the back and up at the front. Allowing the flexible, electric, beautiful spine rise up to the sky, golden thread from the crown of the head so your chin is tucked down a little, Buddha's gaze down to the ground. Shoulders, take them up to your ears and drop them down your back so your armpits are spacious. So in Tai Chi you've got a kind of rounded sense, rounded from the pelvis out and rounded from the shoulders out, sort of circular, nothing's straight. And then from there, so first of all, just lift your arms up like that, and then down. Okay, that's not Tai Chi. So we're going to now imagine you're in water and just let your arms float up. So just being. So nothing coming from the shoulders. Just let your arms float up as if they're in water, and then floating down again. Now this is going to be done in time with the breath. So you're going to breathe in. You might have different breathing to me. Breathe out. Breathe in. You might want to just rock into the heels slightly and breathe out, come into the toes. Just get that body, the breathing body, moving. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. If it's becoming stressful, or you're worried you're getting it wrong or anything, just relax, just stop for a moment, just breathe. Now we're going to open the chest. This is a good metta practice, so as you breathe in, the hands still are floating up, then just opening the chest. As you breathe out, then breathe into the heart, breathe out. So again, still, your arms are floating on water. So if you're holding them up here, just drop them down. Dropping your elbows, relaxing your shoulders, imagining floating your hands on the top of water. Now we're going to paint a rainbow, so just keep going with that. So on the next out breath, breathe in, breathe out, taking your hands out to the side, palms face the sky. We're all going to have to go to the black background Tara first of all. Oh, I don't know how to do that, yeah. So opening, just paint a rainbow, coming back to center, breathe in, breathe out. It's not a big stretch, but you will feel a slight movement in the side that the top arm is on. It's small. If you're doing too much, if you're feeling stressed, do less, do less, do less, do less, do less. It's playing Tai Chi rather than doing Tai Chi. So coming back to center, and just letting the hands float down, folding down to your knee, towards your knees. Then we're going to part the clouds. Hopefully this will help with the rain. So we're going to just push from the feet. Breathe in, breathe the air. Breathe out. Just coming to standing. Again, going towards the black background Tara first of all. Just turning from the waist. Taking the arms over the head. It's as if you've got a tunnel in front of you and you're just stroking around the inside of it. Turning to the other side. The hands going no further than the knees. Just feeling into the back of your body, making sure your back's safe, hips are safe. Knees are safe. This is called spinning wheels. Keep breathing, keep feeling the floor, the earth, the flow of the water, the heat of the fire, and the air of the breath. Next time you're at the bottom, just pausing and heading back the other way so that you unravel, untwist any twisting you've done. Next time you're at the bottom, just pausing, rolling up, letting the head come up last. Then we're going to do something tricky, but we do it every day without thinking. So we're going to do bouncing balls with step, which means that we're going to put 100% of our weight into one foot. If you wobble, if you're on a wobbly bit of ground, just keep your toes on the ground just to balance. But we walk like this. So think down, so whichever foot you start with, so down into one foot, relax the knees, relax the hip, and then just see if you can lift on the in-breath and place. And then taking it down into the earth, into the other foot, lift as you breathe in, place as you breathe out. Last one to make it a good one. No pressure. And then just coming back to that standing, and we're going to close with pressing palms in calmness, which was that move that changed my approach to Tai Chi. So just making sure you're grounded, connection to the sky. As you breathe in, letting the arms float up, come in towards the heart, taking everything down into the earth as you breathe out. Pressing palms in calmness, letting your body know there's no more learning, there's nothing else to do, just relax. And then just standing like a mountain. If you feel safe enough, close your eyes and I'll read you a poem. This is Earth by Walcott. Let the day grow on you upward, through your feet, the vegetal knuckles to your knees of stone, until by evening you are a black tree. Feel, with evening, the swifts thicken your hair, the new moon rising out of your forehead, and the moonlit veins of silver running from your armpits like rivulets under white leaves. Sleep, as ants cross over your eyelids. You have never possessed anything as deeply as this. This is all you have owned from the first outcry through forever. You can never be dispossessed.